This will continue and results will be out after 14 days. Last year, just looking at the statistics, last year 1.2 million candidates were registered in 28,316 examination centers compared to 1,191,752 candidates in 28,467 stations in 2020. And this means that there was a 2.75% increase. And now just looking at some of the candidates who were the top students, and that is why I was saying that I was going to boast. Okay, and in 2020, the top candidate was Faith Mumo from Karim Wailu Primary School in Makueni County, who scored 433 out of 500 marks, while the best pupil in 2019 had 440 marks. And now the reason I'm boasting is because Karim Wailu is my school.
Oh.
That is where I went for my primary school.
So you're happy this morning.
I'm very happy, yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I'm excited because that was my school, from class 5 to class 8. Yes.
That is where you did school. That is
yes,
the upper primary. That is from 5, 6, 7?
From class 5, yes, from class 5 to class 8. Yes, that was my
thumbs up for them because it's like they're raising the best.
Of course.
You should offer them a visit as well.
Yes, yes. And that story is on the back page of the Daily Nation.
And the same story and education is in the page 3 of the Standard newspaper. And maybe for clarification on the part of quick marking, it says that with the new machines, it's like there have been deployment of actually new machines which are marking these sheets in batches of 100 and 200 sheets, and unlike the previous technology which took hours, and now the KCP candidates yesterday sat their last paper, that is social studies and CRE,
yes,
and though there were no major challenges reported in that case. And we also have COVID disruptions. That is another story under the same theme that says, following the disruption of the country's academic calendar by the COVID-19 pandemic, 2 national exams to be done this year. The KCP and the KCSE 22 candidates will sit for their final examinations in December and early January 2023. That is all I wanted to clarify, and that is Education Matters in the page 3 of the Standard newspaper this morning. Okay,
so this year it's going to be different because of the machines that are going to be used to mark the exams.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, and there is Professor George Magua said that they started marking the examinations 2 days ago. That means it's from Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that is the second day of the examination, and these machines that are actually can mark, it's marking papers in batches of 100 to 200 papers at a time.
That means it's making work easier also at the same time.
Very much easier because I think that is why they've said it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And there is a possibility maybe before even the 2 weeks and the results will be out.
Out, yes.
And we shall get to celebrate the best, that is students, on all students in that case.
All students. But now maybe the teachers who are going to be deployed to be marking the exams are going to mark the composition and inches because now the machine cannot mark that.
Of course,
yes.
Everyone will score. Everyone will score a 0.
Yes, because sometimes, and I remember Ngonjo was telling us that he used to use a lot of terminology. So now I can imagine a machine that has to be fed with all that information and the sayings.
It will be confused as well.
Yes.
Because it's actually coming across different proverbs used in different places. Meanings. So it's going to be able to cooperate all that.
Yes, and I've just remembered one, and we used to say, I ran as fast as my brittle legs could carry me.
I don't know, as proud as a peacock. Peacocks are still proud, right?
Of course they are, of course they are.
I woke up in the crack of dawn.
Yes.
That one, I cannot forget that one. And there is another one we used to say, I don't know how you used to call bathroom. I don't remember because I used to wake up at the crack of dawn. I'm just forgetting it. Maybe if you can just, I remember it, you can just remind us on our social media handles. Like, I have just lost it, but it used to come out very clearly.
Very clearly. And now moving on to county news. Raila torn between old and new allies in primaries dilemma. And Mr. Odinga is leaving nothing to chance as he forestalls a bitter fallout and defections. Orange Democratic Leader Movement, Raila Odinga is torn between old and new allies in Coast and fierce nomination. Mr. Odinga is leaving nothing to chance to consolidate his support base in the region to forestall a bitter fallout and defections. Coast is perceived to be an ODM stronghold, and the outcome of the nomination is likely to influence the voting pattern. A vicious battle, however, among influential politicians in the group region 6 counties is shaping up in the run-up to the August 9th general election. Now this story is on page 21 of the county news on the Daily Nation.
And on the page 24 of the Standard newspaper this morning under Standard Counties, we have still Western projects hunt governor hopefuls eyeing top jobs. Now, still projects could stand in the way of first-term governors seeking re-election in Western Kenya in the August 9th elections, under the incomplete facilities have caused friction between the county chiefs and their predecessors who initiated the project and are looking to reclaim the seats. And this is a story about a section Vihiga Hospital that is in Mbale town, and we have a punch line of the that is Vihiga County Governor, that is Mr. Wilbur Otichilo, that says administration took issue with the National Construction Authority over delays in clearing building plans. This story is very much well detailed in the page 24 and county news in the Standard newspaper.
And now, of course, I have seen that we have viewers who are viewing us. Thank you so much for viewing us this morning. And we have a comment here from George Pauls that says, thanks to the great team Christine and Ngonjo Minor, always informed, enjoyable and great shows. Keep breaking the limits. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now maybe on your side, Ngonjo.
And on my side, I have good morning. We have James is saying tuned in on my way to town. Thank you very much, James. And also I have good morning, Christine and Gonjo. I'm watching you guys from Kitengela. I've actually woken up. I'm still tuned in. Thank you very much. You're not late at all.
Yes, you're not actually late.
You're not late.
Yes.
Because you just, some few things have just passed you, and you can regain them because on our social media handles, it's there. Even when we're out, you can just refer back to them.
And Ngonjo, because someone has said that they are going to town, maybe we just tell them how our roads are looking like this morning. And we can see that on my side, I see that is building up a traffic, and that is going into town. And from Mudama Access Road, and that is Lone View Road, in Syokimau Katani Road, and there's still the traffic building up all the way to, and that is in Mumbai. There's traffic from Syokimau all the way to Cabanas. I can see that it is all red, indication that there is a lot of traffic on that side. Yes.
And of the ones who are using actually the Langata Road this morning, from in between Langata Road and the southern bypass, it's traffic up to where Langata Road, that is in the Mila, we call it Mila Estate, that is a junction Wayaki when Langata Road meets. It's kind of traffic, and it seems like it's not moving at all, but partially it's moving with a lot of reds and maroons at the same time. But near Wilson Airport, it's not moving very fast, as I think, and as from what I can see, Christine, near the Wilson Airport, it's still, but the rest of the parts, it's actually moving slowly by slowly. That is on Langata Road this morning.
And in Uhuru Highway, I can see that we have traffic going into town. In Uhuru Highway, there is traffic going to town, and at the Bunyala roundabout also, there is a lot of traffic all the way up to connection to Uhuru Highway. There is traffic, but there are some green indications way ahead that shows that the traffic is tight. Yes.
And in Ngong Road, around the Woodley Estate, we have kind of traffic, but moving as well. It's slowly moving, and as you approach the Mbagathi Road from Ngong Road, there is a roundabout. It's kind of traffic, but at the roundabout, there is a little bit traffic, though moving, that is on Ngong Road.
And I will keep informing you on the traffic updates as they come in, and of any incidents that will happen on our roads this morning, to ensure that you have a clear passage into town as you watch Morning Informant and our Angonjo, because today is Health Thursday.
Sure.
Of course, we will be having our guest this morning, and we will tell you about that in a little bit. But for now, we continue with our dailies. Yes. So now moving on to the county news, we're still looking at the counties, and we have in Kericho County, water crisis to persist as key project falls behind by 13 months. Perennial will persist in Kericho town as the construction of a 1 billion water project falls behind by more than a year. Completion of the Kimugu water project funded by the Kenya and German governments is behind schedule by 13 months, and residents and their leaders have raised concern over it. Now, the project, which is being implemented through the Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency, is located at Duka Moja area in the outskirts of Kericho town. Construction of the facility began in April 23rd, 2019, and was to be completed in 24 months with an April 22 delivery date. However, because of what was termed as logistical challenges, the delivery date was extended by 8 months. And this is a story on page 24 of the county news on Daily Nation.
And in Nyamira County, under the standard counties, we have a woman to sexually molesting grandson aged 12. Now, a 64-year-old woman from Nyamira County on Tuesday pleaded guilty to sexually molesting her 12-year-old grandson. And the woman appeared before Keroka Principal Magistrate, that is Collins Ombinja, and she was charged with defiling the Standard 6 boy. And the widow is said to have committed the offense at her home on March 5th, and she was arrested 2 days later. Now, the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has lined up for witnesses to testify, and this is a story on the page 24 of the Standard newspaper this morning.
Wow, that is quite a sad story. And I remember we read about it on Monday, but now we said that she was awaiting, because she had pleaded guilty, and now she was awaiting for the charges to start. That the court proceedings.
Sure. Yes. And the case actually is expected to be heard again on the 23rd of March this year.
Wow, it is quite unfortunate that the people that you trust be the perpetrators.
Especially a grandparents, because that is almost the second parent that you have.
Yes.
And it's quite unfortunate, and we just living in a world full of wickedness.
Yes.
It's
quite
to be honest,
unfortunate.
it's so unfortunate as well, but what do we say? It's the work of the government and what to do the right thing, and that is why she actually will be prosecuted, and the case that will be listened on March 23rd.
And we hope that justice will prevail for the young boy.
Sure.
Yes.
That is all we are hoping for. Justice to prevail.
Justice to prevail. And now, still on a page on the county news, we said that this being election year, we are going to see so many decampments and so many unions being formed, and that is political marriages, of course. Sure. And now, on that note, we have Bungoma Deputy Governor decamps to DAP Kenya. Now, Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, we have a photo, and he's on the right side, welcomes Bungoma Deputy Governor Ngome to the Democratic Action Party yesterday at Chui House in Nairobi. Now, this is a story on page 24 of the county news on a Daily Nation. Just have a look at that, and of course you get to see how the political divorces and marriages are going to be formed this year.
Of course.
Yes.
And we have still under counties, we have the 7.8 billion shillings Thiba Dam ready for filling in rainy season, and this dam was built actually as the game changer for Kenya's largest rice scheme, that is Moya, is complete and ready for filling up during the long rain season. Rice production in Moya irrigation scheme in Kirinyaga County is set to double once the 15 million cubic meter dam starts being utilized to irrigate paddy fields in the expanded scheme. A story in the page 25 under the Standard County News in the Standard newspaper this morning.
Okay, and it is about that time we take our flight to look at some of the stories in the national realm, and we go straight ahead to Ukraine, where 59 countries have ratified the treaty and more have signed it. And Russian President Vladimir Putin is using nuclear blackmail to keep the international community from interfering in the Ukraine invasion. The head of the Nobel Prize winning group, ICANN, has said. Now, just looking at what is the 40-year-old Swede who was spearheaded global efforts to ban weapons of mass destruction since 2013, said that she has never in her lifetime seen the nuclear threat level this high. And this is in accordance to the Ukrainian invasion by Russia. And while she was addressing the U.S. Congress, Avril Hain, that is the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, described Putin's move as extremely unusual. And just to have what it says here, fears. IAEA says power cut to the site of nuclear disaster has been cut to the Chernobyl plant and its security system. Ukraine's energy operators say on February 24th, Russia invaded Ukraine and seized the defunct power plant site of a 1986 disaster that killed hundreds of spread radioactive contamination across Europe. On Tuesday, the International Atomic Energy Agency said the site is no longer transmitting data and voiced concern for employees working under Russian guard. Yes.
And we have the page 32, that is under the Standard World and News. Tunisia Constitution questionnaire is met with a nationwide shrug. Now, as Tunisia's president prepares to rewrite the constitution after dismissing parliament last year and ruling by decree, he has called for citizens' input by setting up a voluntary multiple choice questionnaire online. 2 weeks to go before the survey is due to end. That is only 276,000 people have taken part in the country of 12 million people. And according to this to the survey's website, it says that amid accusations by Kai side's critics that the consultation is carried. And we have with me here is an image of a just approached volunteer who is actually introducing to students an online multi-choice questionnaire that the president has set up a part of consultations before he rewrites the constitution. And this as a story in the page 32, that is the front page of the Standard World and News in the Standard newspaper.
And now still on matters world news, United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres has recommended that to the Security Council that the African United maintains its staffing level in Somalia through the end of the year. Now, the African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM, comprises of 20,000 police and civilians tasked with supporting the country's fragile government in the fight against insurgents. The AMISOM mandate expires on March 31st, but the UN Secretary Council is expected to vote on March 30th to replace it with African Transition Mission in Somalia, and that is ATMIS in short form. And Guterres said he prefers a plan to gradually reduce ATMIS in 4 phases to enable and support Somalia security forces to take primary responsibility for security in Somalia by the end of the year 2023. Yes.
And we have with Ukraine war, Europe's geopolitical map is moving again. A story in the page 33 of the Standard newspaper this morning with a contents table of the humanitarian corridors that says that actually Russia said a regime of silence in quotes would be observed around Mariupol and Volnovaka to allow civilians to leave. And Russia's defense ministry's spokesman said a broad offensive continued against Ukraine. This is a story about the war that is actually in, is it the second week?
The second week.
Yes, and that is Russia's...
Almost the end of the second week now, and getting into the third week.
Almost in the third week. That is on Russia's invasion in Ukraine. And it's very much well broken down with a punchline from the European Council President, that is Charles Michel, that says, together with Ukraine, we stand firmly on the side of freedom and democracy. Ukraine is a part of a European family.
And we get back from our flight and we go straight ahead to getting sporty right here on Morning Informant, where we have Kenya names 44 strong squad, and that is the Wamira sprinting siblings David, Beryl and Ryle were over the moon yesterday as they all qualified for the delayed 2021 Summer Deaf Olympics that will be held in Caxias do Sul in Brazil from May 1st to 15th. And that is a story, and that we just have a long list of the team 2021 Deaf Olympics in Brazil, and we have 44 of them. And you should just have a look at the list. We have from Ida Odera down to Dorothy Wairimo, all of whom we have both genders here, ladies and gents, that are Deaf Olympics are going to participate in the Deaf Olympics in Brazil. And this is a story on page 44 of the Daily Nation.
And on the page 52 of the Standard newspaper, we have opportunity knocks for Osaka, and red hot Rafa Nadal will be the man to beat when Indian Wells begins this week, while Naomi Osaka will look to begin her ascent back to the top of the tennis world at the tournament that launched her career. And we have the 21, that is the Rafa Nadal's Grand Slam titles, with Tommy Haas, that is Indian Wells tournament director, saying that there are a lot of guys knocking on the door, but Nadal has got to be the favorite. Page 52, that is all under the Standard Sports News.
And now looking on to the UEFA Champions League, we have Bayern Munich success 7 Red Bull at Salzburg, and this is Mohamed Salah admitted Liverpool might have suffered from complacency as they crept into a 4th Champions League quarter-final in 5 years despite a rare 1-0 defeat at Anfield to Inter Milan on Tuesday. This is a story on page 47 of the Daily Nation.
And on the page 55 of the Standard newspaper, you have Klopp rules his team's poor attack as they reach quarters. Liverpool manager Klopp said they deserved to go through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League despite Tuesday's 1-0 defeat by a 10-man Inter Milan, but the German was not too pleased with his team's slapstick finishing. And we also have the Tuesday's Champions League results. Liverpool versus Inter Milan, that is 0-1, Bayern 7-1, and Bayern 7, and we have Salzburg 1. Those are some of the Tuesday Champions League results in the page 55 of the Standard newspaper this morning.
Okay, and now we have come to the end of our newspaper review this morning. But before we go on a break, we just like to update you on our roads this morning. And looking on at I'm looking on at Langata, sorry, Jogo Road. And in Jogo Road, we have a little bit of traffic snarl up, and it is all the way from Landis Road, Pumwani, and to Kamukunji. There is a little bit of traffic, and in the roundabout connecting to Ring Road. In Landis Road, it is all green, indication that there is no traffic, and that is away from town. But going into town on the other side, in Kamukunji, we have a lot of traffic, and also on the other side of Haile Selassie Avenue, going into town, and in that conjunction where we have a roundabout, Landis Ring Road, there is traffic going into town, but out of town there is a little bit of traffic in Wakulima Road, and that is almost at the Nyayo Stadium. Yes. And
in the Park Lands Road, there is a little bit of traffic in between the Shivachi Road and Taifa Road. There is a little bit traffic, but moving as well. And maybe 231s were actually using the Elimuru Road and Mothega Road. There is a little bit traffic as you approach the Family Trail and the Gigiri Road, there is a little bit traffic as well, but moving as well. Yes, and to the City Park Road, moving, but a little bit traffic as you approach the second Parklands Avenue.
And moving on to the other side where we have Ngara Road and the Globe flyover, and in the roundabout there is also a little bit of traffic on that side, and the slip road that connects into Kirinyaga Road. There is traffic on that side, and that is coming into town, but going out of town there is indications at all.
And to the ones using Red Hill Road, there is a little bit traffic as you approach the Gigiri area, and the Kitusuru area there is also some kind of traffic but moving as well.
And now, as we had mentioned before, we have our guest today, and our guest is already in studio, and we are excited as you are to get into the topic. But before we do that, we are going to go on a short break, and after that we'll be back with our discussion and with our guest as well.
Sure.
Yes.
As we shall help you understand more, because you have a very much well outlined program for you in the show today, being the other is hashtag Health Thursday.
And because health is wealth,
sure,
we'd like to go on a break now. And remember to keep the comments coming and the conversation rolling on our social media platforms. That is at SHANI TV on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram.
And to our platform users, the platform number, is at the bottom of this. If you can just read the number, is 0706 083 050. That is the number that you can use as you join in any of our conversations.
We're going on a break, but do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
We seek to answer all your questions on social, political, and economic issues without bias, because that is the whole point of journalism.
From our English news desk, we expect to meet your expectations to the latter.
Current trends in politics, international and sports news are as credible as the reporter. We have the courage to tell our news stories, not being immune to criticism.
I, Melissa Kialo, will be bringing you News at 1.
For objective news on Newsplug, join me, Christine Mutindi.
And Gonzo Maina every day at 9 p.m. only on SHANI TV, the true mark of Kenya.
Live in a beach life city, enjoying coastal lifestyle with a cool breeze and ocean tides as you watch the sunset. In Malindi, touching the Kilifi Watamu bypass, sitting just 100 meters off the white sandy beach, in a gated and controlled development next to Malaika Beach Hotel. Finca Properties Limited offers you a 50 by 100 plot for only 1.5 million shillings. Electricity and water is available on site. This property is ideal for residential homes, cottages, holiday homes and hotels. For inquiries, bookings and reservations, SMS the word plot to 40309 or call us on 0721 737 300 or visit our website at www.finca.co.ke. Come to our offices in Kitengela Town, Pena Towers, Suite B6. Title deeds are ready. Finca Properties Limited, prime and affordable.
Grace Life Church invites you to our Sunday services. Join us for fellowship, prayers, uplifting praise and worship, and life-transforming sermons. The order of our services is intercession from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., ambassador service from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and celebration service from 10:15 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come and experience overflowing blessings with Pastor Dr. George Paul as we declare divine breakthrough for 2022. We are located in Kitengela Town off Nairobi-Namanga Highway along Prison Road, 300 meters from Ruby's petrol station. Welcome to Grace Life Church, the house of destiny.
Live in a beach life city enjoying coastal lifestyle with a cool breeze and ocean tides as you watch the sunset. In Malindi, touching the Kilifi Watamu bypass, sitting just 100 meters off the white sandy beach in a gated and controlled development next to Malaika Beach Hotel. Finca Properties Limited offers you a 50 by 100 plot for only 1.5 million shillings. Electricity and water is available on site. This property is ideal for residential homes, cottages, holiday homes and hotels. For inquiries, bookings and reservations, SMS the word plot to 40309 or call us on 0721 737 300 or visit our website at www.finca.co.ke. Come to our offices in Kitengela Town, Pena Towers, Suite B6. Title deeds are ready. Finca Properties Limited, prime and affordable.
Welcome back to a Morning Informant, and today being hashtag Health Thursday, we're speaking about over-the-counter medication.
Sure.
And maybe I know sometimes you've been tempted to just go to the pharmacy and buy medicine. So we want to understand that because I had that habit. I don't think I have stopped. Yes,
you're still a victim.
I'm still a victim, but of course we are not alone this morning.
Sure.
Yes.
As usual, we have a well-informed doctor with us here, and as we promised, your work is not just stating but explaining, making you understand. Making you understand more. And that is why today, as we discuss about the over-the-counter medication, we have the doctor with us. She's already in the house, and in a few seconds, we shall allow her to introduce herself to you and get to interact with her. But before that, just remind you of our platform number as displayed at the bottom of your screen. The number is 0706083050.
And our social media platform is always open for you at SHANI TV on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram. And now it is time we give Dr. Clarice the opportunity to introduce herself and just help and understand, because we're not the professionals today. We have an expert on that. And maybe Dr. Karibu Sana.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here. And as you've heard, my name is Clarice Ambale, and I'm a pharmacist by profession. And I've also specialized in what we call pharmacoepidemiology and pharmacovigilance, which generally just means looking at the safe use of medication.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, and I'm really happy to be here to discuss this topic with us, because it's something that is affecting a lot of Kenyans. People really go over the counter and do self-medication. So I'm really excited to share more information on this topic. And just to add on to my introduction, I also am a member of the Hospital Pharmacists Association of Kenya, where I serve as a committee member, elected committee member, and I also am a member of the International Society of Pharmacovigilance, and a member of the overall body of pharmacists, which is the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya.
Wow.
So I think that's it for now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Just
That
like
is-
the introduction.
Yes,
of it.
yes.
There is much that we didn't know about her, but now we informed as well. And
Yes.
this is the Morning Informant. And maybe, Dr. Hari, if you can go just direct to the point, maybe you can help our viewers understand exactly what over-the-counter medication is.
Okay, thank you very much. So over-the-counter medicines are medicines that can be bought by anyone from a shop, not necessarily even a chemist or a pharmacy. Even supermarkets have over-the-counter medicines, grocery shops, and even some at petrol stations. Some shops at petrol stations can sell over-the-counter medicines. So these are medicines that you can buy without a prescriptions and for treatment of minor ailments. And I just want to state from the onset that they are still medicines with active ingredients, and they are not without risks. Yeah, so we'll discuss more about the risks as we carry on with the interview.
Of course, and so now sometimes you find that the small illnesses like headaches and stomach aches, they are signifying something that is maybe deeper, but someone chooses to self-medicate. So probably, what are the dangers of self-medication?
Okay, maybe before we go to that, we list some of the a minor ailment that you can actually self-medicate by buying over the counter. You've already mentioned some of them: headache, stomach upset, we have cold and flu, fever, cough, some allergies, you get a skin rash and you like, let me just go and get something for that. So those are some of the minor ailments that you can actually go and get medication over the counter for. However, as I've mentioned already, there are risks associated with that. Number one, as I was saying, it could just be a symptom of a deeper ailment or something that is already ongoing in your body that you don't know, and just a tip of the iceberg. So as much as it could look minor and you want to self-medicate, it's always good to seek medical advice, see a doctor, and get diagnosed, maybe get some laboratory tests to confirm the underlying cause of that symptom, and maybe some scans, ultrasound, MRI if necessary, just to get deeper to the cause of that symptom. So when we self-medicate, you ask about the risks. We risk misdiagnosing, because you are diagnosing yourself. You're saying, okay, I'm having a headache, so maybe paracetamol would do, and probably that's a symptom of a high blood pressure. You treat the symptom, but the underlying cause is not managed. So you'll keep on medicating, and then that is a misdiagnosis, and the problem will exacerbating, and the pressure could lead to, the high blood pressure could lead to a worse condition. A consequence of the high blood pressure can affect vital organs like your heart, your liver, your kidney. So self-medication can lead to misdiagnosis. The other thing is misuse of antibiotics. Someone could come up with a flu, and they think, okay, I'm having a flu, it's a bacterial infection. They walk into a chemist and say they want amoxicillin, for example. And because, unfortunately, the person behind the counter wants to make sales because they are in for profit,
Yes.
they will say, fine, I will give you and take it this much for 5 days and you'll finish the dose. Yeah. However, the infection could be viral and you are using an antibiotic unnecessarily. So misuse of antibiotics will lead to antimicrobial resistance. So self-medication is also a huge cause for antimicrobial resistance, and we are not discovering any new antibiotics in the recent past. And the antibiotics that we have, the bacteria are getting cleverer and getting more resistant to them, and we are seeing people being treated and not getting better, and you need to move the patient to a higher class of antibiotics which are more expensive. Yeah, so those are some of the risks of self-medication. Yes.
And Daktari, because you have mentioned the misuse of antibiotics,
Yes.
can we classify that as drug abuse or abuse of now the antibiotics?
Not necessarily. Misuse and abuse is a bit different.
Okay.
Yes. When you're misusing something, you're using it most probably for the wrong reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, if you're prescribed for a sleeping pill and you're told take one before you sleep in the night, and you decide because one is not working, you want to sleep more, you take two, yeah, or you take three. Yes, that is misuse. Or you prescribe for an antihistamine for your flu, clofeniramine, which you commonly call Piriton. And when you take it, you get drowsy and you sleep. So you think, okay, next time when I feel like I'm not getting enough sleep, I will be taking
Two.
Piriton.
Yes.
Yeah, clofeniramine. Yeah, so that is misusing. Yeah, but drug abuse is when you use a drug because of the feeling that it gives you. Yeah, you're not using it because you are sick, you're treating a certain ailment, but you're using it because of the feeling, maybe a high that you get, a euphoric feeling that you get from the drug. That is now drug abuse. And drug abuse, when not contained, will generally lead to drug addiction. Yes.
Wow.
And maybe as we get into sample some of the comments, I have somebody, I don't know, I think you've really answered the question because it's saying, good morning,
Yes.
morning informant.
Yes.
I would like to ask, is there any difference between overdose and drug abuse?
Yes, there's a difference because overdose could be accidental. Probably you were told to take a drug at a certain dose and it wasn't clear and you took an overdose and it led to some adverse effects. It's mostly accidental, or it could be intentional. Maybe in the case of attempted suicide, that could be overdose that is intentional. But abuse, you want to get a certain feeling from taking that product. So you're doing it intentionally for that effect that you want to gain at the end of it. Yeah, so drug abuse and overdose are different.
So there is a difference between overdose and drug abuse.
Yeah, but exactly. But someone can overdose on a drug because they are already abusing it. Yeah, if they're not getting enough of that effect they want, they can overdose. Yes.
So it doesn't mean that when you use drug abuse, you are not necessarily sick.
No, you are not actually sick. You are just using it for the wrong reason, for the effect that you get ingesting that drug.
Wow.
Okay, and now I have another question here. Good morning, and I would like to ask Daktari, because we have most of the chemists selling drugs over the counter and sometimes selling drugs that are expired. Do we have a pharmaceutical regulatory agency which regulates the prices or over-the-counter medication misuse in Kenya?
Okay, now those are several questions in one. He's asking about expired drugs,
Yes,
and also asking about prices. Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe
Also,
we start.
it's two different.
Yeah.
So
they're
maybe we just look at
The
maybe the expired
and
ones.
the regulation.
Yes, regulation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a Pharmacy and Poisons Board, which is the regulatory authority mandated to regulate all pharmaceutical products, diagnostics, tests that are used in the laboratory, medical devices, yeah, and even vaccines. They are regulated by the Poisons Board, which is a department of the Ministry of Health, though it's autonomous. Yeah, so before a drug is sold in the country, it has to be registered with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, because they check if it's safe for use by Kenya and if it's effective. You cannot just sell a drug because you want to sell it and make profit. Does it actually treat the ailment it's purporting to do? Yeah, does it contain the active ingredient? So they actually go around picking sample. Before it's registered, they pick the sample and test it in the laboratory to confirm that it actually has the active ingredient that is written. Yeah, the active ingredient can actually do what it says it can do. And then it's
are 20, and in the sachet they actually put it's kind of an envelope like thing. So how can you be able to tell the expiry date of the tablets, and maybe they've just been put in a sachet and you can't tell yourself?
Yeah, it's true. Yes, it's difficult, but it's the responsibility of the one dispensing to write for you. Yeah, you have the right to know when the drugs you're taking are going to expire. Yeah, because you could be given something that has already expired.
Expired,
Yeah.
yes.
So how will you know? You go and check them, you don't get better, or you even get worse, because an expired drug also has its effects. Yeah, yeah. So you have the right to know that these drugs are still within their effectiveness period. Yeah, so you should actually ask that the expiry date is written on the envelope. But most of the time we don't ask, and because it's too much work for the person dispensing, they also just give it out. Yeah.
Because it's you to take it, not them.
Yes.
And maybe Dr. Eric, we can ask you, because you have a lot of pharmacy shops around, what does it take, or what are the requirements for a person to open a pharmacy shop? Because as you can look right now, maybe in every plot or apartment area, you have a lot of chemists, maybe, and what does it take, or the requirements, some of the requirements for one to open a pharmacy shop, or that is or a chemist, rather?
Okay, so first of all, you need to, as I've mentioned, you have to be a qualified personnel. Yeah, either a pharmacist, a registered pharmacist with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, you must have done a degree in pharmacy, and now you're registered with the Pharmacy and Poison Board, or an enrolled pharmaceutical technologist.
Yes.
Those who have done a diploma in pharmacy and they are enrolled with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. Yeah, but for pharmaceutical technologies, they need to have done at least 6 years of practice before they qualify to be able to get a license to operate a chemist. Yeah, but you know, because of corruption in the country, people go and buy licenses and they are able to open shops. So when the Pharmacy and Poison Board is doing their operation, spot check, and checking whether the chemists are duly licensed or not, you'll find them closed. The ones that are not registered or licensed, they will be closed. Yeah, they'll be closed that day, because of course they get tips on when the board is coming round. Yeah, when the crackdown is happening, so they close up. Yeah, so we also have ourselves to blame, because the Pharmacy and Poisons Board and plus the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya released a program called Green Cross, where you can actually tell this pharmacy is duly registered with the Poison Board, and the personnel operating there are duly qualified. So there's a code on the Green Cross which you can dial through, I think, USSD, and confirm that this is actually a registered premise with the board. Yeah, so again, as I've said, we have a lot of quacks operating around, because people think selling medicines like selling food. You just open a shop and you put your wares there and you come and buy. It's not the same. As I've said, medicines are poisons. Yeah, if they're not taken well, in the right doses, the right time, they can actually cause harm, more harm than good, actually.
Wow. Yes. And now, Daktari, you being in the committee, of course, you oversee, you being a committee member, you oversee most of the things. So what is the prevalence of Kenyans taking over-the-counter medication? Okay,
that's a bit difficult to again, most people go for over-the-counter medication, and it's actually allowed, it's legal. Yeah, because we've said there are ailments that are minor that qualify to get treated by over-the-counter medicines. Yeah, you really don't have to go to hospital for a minor headache. Just a headache that is not preventing you from doing your work, but it's a bit
making you uneasy.
Yes. So you go and get your ibuprofen, you get your paracetamol, and you take. You have a flu, you want your antihistamine, you can easily get. Yeah, so it's not easy to tell the prevalence, the number of people going, because there are many. There are many going for that. The issue is how many are going for over-the-counter medicines that are required to have a prescription. That is what we should be looking at. And this data, we can only get it if the chemists are open enough to share this information. But I'm not sure if they can be, because they're not supposed to give prescription-only medicine over the counter. So if they're going against the law. And the Pharmacy and Poisons Act, the law that regulates the profession, it's called CAP 244. In section 31, it says that it's actually an offense to give a prescription-only medicine without a prescription. That's giving it over the counter. Yeah, and the person doing that is liable for a fine of 5,000, which is low. I think it should be higher. Or imprisonment.
It's kind of affordable. It's even cheaper.
Yeah, they just keep giving it.
Yeah,
or imprisonment for 1 year if you give a prescription-only medicine over the counter. Yeah, so we just need to reinforce the laws and regulation and actually implement them to ensure that this is happening. That we are not giving prescription-only medicine over the counter. That is what we should look at. But getting over-the-counter medicine, there is no problem if that medicine actually classifies to be under over-the-counter category.
Wow, we are learning, we're getting to learn.
We're getting to. I have a comment here from Kamonye Edwin. Good morning, Morning Informant. This is quite an informative show. I would just like to ask Dr. Clarice to expound more on the oversight of pharmacists. maybe I don't know, oversight of pharmacists.
Okay.
I don't know what you meant, Kamonye Edwin.
All right, maybe he can clarify later, but what I think maybe he's asking is about the regulation. Yeah, the profession is regulated by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. And I've said for you to be a pharmacist, you have to have gone through undergraduate training and qualified with the Bachelor of Pharmacy degree in a recognized institution. And after that, you will be registered by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board after undertaking a professional exam. You do internship for a year, and once you finish your internship, you do a professional exam, after which you are by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. Yeah, and then now you are qualified to practice as a pharmacist. Yeah, so in a nutshell, I think that's what he meant. But if he meant something else, maybe he can clarify.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just let us understand more. And on my side, I have Good Morning Informant. My name is Jose from Zimmerman, and my question is, which are the most abused over-the-counter drugs in Kenya?
Okay, so as we've said, over-the-counter drugs are drugs that used to manage minor ailments. Yeah, mostly analgesics. Analgesics are drugs for pain, cough suppressants. So the most abused, actually, you know, when you're abusing a drug, as you said, you are taking it for a certain effect you want to achieve. You're not taking it for an ailment. Yeah, so one of the cough suppressants that we have contains an ingredient called dextromethorphan. And dextromethorphan is in the class of opioids, which is related to
heroin. Yes.
Yeah, so it gives people a feeling of euphoria or a high that when you're addicted to it, you want to get more and more of it to become dependent, and without it, you can even have withdrawal symptoms. So this particular cough syrup that contains dextromethorphan is actually one of the most abused over-the-counter medication. Yeah, because of the ingredient that it contains.
Yes, and on that note, we take our first short break on Health Thursday. That is hashtag Health Thursday. We're going to just take a cup of water, but we will be back. Do not go anywhere, because Dr. Clarice is here to answer all your unanswered questions on over-the-counter medication.
Live in a beach life city, enjoying coastal lifestyle with a cool breeze and ocean tides as you watch the sunset. In Malindi, touching the Kilifi Watamu bypass, sitting just 100 meters off the white sandy beach in a gated and controlled development next to Malaika Beach Hotel. Finca Properties Limited offers you a 50 by 100 plot for only 1.5 million shillings. Electricity and water is available on site. This property is ideal for residential homes, cottages, holiday homes and hotels. For inquiries, bookings and reservations, SMS the word plot to 40309 or call us on 0721 737 300 or visit our website at www.finca.co.ke. Come to our offices in Kitengela Town, Pena Towers 6. Title deeds are ready. Finca Properties Limited, prime and affordable.
We seek to answer all your questions on social, political, and economic issues without bias, because that is the whole point of journalism.
From our English news desk, we expect to meet your expectations to the latter.
Current trends in politics, international and sports news are as credible as the reporter. We have the courage to tell our news stories, not being immune to criticism.
I, Melissa Kialo, will be bringing you News at 1.
For objective news on Newsplug, join me, Christine Mutindi.
And Gonzo Maina every day at 9 p.m. only on SHANI TV, the true mark of Kenya.
Welcome back to Morning Informant, #Health Thursday, and today Dr. Clarice is in the house to help us understand about over-the-counter medication.
Sure.
Because most of the Kenyans, most of the time, you find that the chemists are swamped and you cannot even find a place to stand. Everyone is buying their own medicine.
Of course.
Yes.
As you can see nowadays, chemists are even busier than hospitals.
Yes.
They even really understand what's happening, and that is why, as an area of concern, we decided to bring with us an expert on the area. There's a professional pharmacist with us, that is Dr. Clarice.
Yes.
She's in the house as we get into sample even some of your questions coming through our platform number and our social media handles as well.
And our social media handles are at SHANI TV on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram. And thank you for all those who are already sending in their questions. Please keep them coming, as Dr. Clarice is here to answer your questions this morning.
Sure.
Yes.
And to our platform number users, the platform number is as displayed at the bottom of your screens. The number is 0706 083 050. Send in your question, and even if of course you have any area you need to understand more for clarity as well, you can use the same platform as we get back to you right here on the Morning Informant, that is #Health Thursday.
And maybe I go into just looking at the questions, Dr. this morning, and we have Clarice Letting. Good morning, Morning Informant. I just have a quick question. Most of Kenyans seek solace in over-the-counter medication, and this is because of sometimes the long queues, and the medicine seems to work for us. Is it a danger in mostly in finding habit in over-the-counter medication?
Okay, thank you so much. Did I hear she's called Clarice?
No, sorry, Cosmas.
Cosmas.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Cosmas
I'm
Letting.
getting excited.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Cosmas, for your question. Yes, it's true. People are finding it easier to get medication over the counter. One of the reasons being that it's easily accessible. As you rightly say, that there are chemists all over the estates, the shopping centers, and you just walk out of your estate and there's a chemist next door.
Yes.
Feeling unwell, it's easier to buy than planning a trip to the hospital.
Sure.
Yeah. So I agree with Cosma that it's actually more convenient for people. It's accessible to get medicines over the counter. And if it works for them, well and good. But however, let's remember that you could just be treating symptoms of an underlying cause that has not been detected yet. So even if you get an over-the-counter medicine to manage your symptom, make an effort to go to hospital for proper diagnosis. Yeah, so that you can know what was it that was causing this headache, what was causing my abdominal pain, stomachache. Yes. Yeah. Is this flu just a flu, or is it COVID, for example? Or is
Yes.
You know. Yeah. Especially if you take the over-the-counter medicine and you don't get better. Yeah. Or it keeps recurring. You take it and feel better. Next week again, you're going for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So as much as it's convenient, it saves time. It saves money, because at the hospital you might be asked for registration fee, go to the lab, now go to the pharmacy finally and pay for all that. At the chemist, you just pay for the drug only, no consultation, no nothing. Yeah, so it might be convenient and cheaper, but in the long run, it might be expensive because you are postponing managing a condition that is growing bigger and being worse by the day. Yes.
And maybe Dr. Clarice, are there any underlying advantages of a self-medication?
As I've already alluded to it, there is increased access to over-the-counter medicine. Yeah. So instead of planning a trip to the hospital, you can easily get your medicines from the chemist nearby, yeah, and manage your condition.
Yes.
Assuming it is an ailment that is minor and can be managed by that over-the-counter medicine. Yeah, so increased access is one of the advantages. Yeah, and also it saves on time for both the client, or rather the patient, and also the medical practitioner. If all of us are not going to hospital to make long queues, then the medical practitioner has time to focus on other patients who might need their attention more than you who coming with just a cough. Yeah, and we see most people with insurance, maybe they abuse that because they can just go to a reputable hospital and get treated for their minor flu. Yeah, could have just bought maybe an antihistamine over the counter and manage. So in essence, they are somehow wasting the doctor's time also. The doctor could have used that time to manage a critical client. So it's good if you have a minor ailment to just get an over-the-counter medicine, if that is allowable for that condition. It will save time for yourself and also for the doctor. Yeah, and also resources and opportunity cost. If you are going to hospital, it means you are not going to work. Yeah, you have to plan, have time, maybe get a sick off to go to hospital.
Yes.
But if you're just going to the chemist, you might do it on your way to work. So those are some of the advantages. But let's remember, when you're looking at the advantages, do they outweigh the disadvantages? Yeah.
Yes.
So we had already mentioned some of the disadvantages, like misdiagnosis, which is a huge problem.
Yes.
Yeah. You having abdominal pain. You are getting your actuals. You are getting your Buscopan and management. It could probably be a liver problem. Yeah. That by the time it's detected, it's much worse and it can't be managed. Yeah. So misdiagnosis is a disadvantage of self-medication, and I don't think it's better for you to get the proper diagnosis than self-medicate. So when you're comparing the advantages and disadvantages, just make sure the advantages outweigh the disadvantages before you decide to go for over-the-counter. We talked about antimicrobial resistance as a disadvantage of over-the-counter medication. Yeah. So when we don't have antibiotics that are working for our infection, then we might not manage the infections adequately, and it can lead to death. Yeah, if you get a patient who's in the hospital, they've used all the high-end antibiotics, and those antibiotics are very expensive. The ones that are used to manage infections that are already the bacteria resistant to the normal.
Yes,
they're very expensive, and not most Kenyans can afford. Yeah, so we'd rather be prudent in our use of antibiotics by getting antibiotics only when we need them, getting them when you have a prescription, not over the counter. So let's also compare the advantages and the disadvantages and see if it really works for us to keep getting medication over the counter or get prescribed for medication before we are actually going to buy them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, and Daktari, you are in the pharmacovigilance. You do pharmacovigilance.
Yes.
Maybe you help us understand what that is. It might be a huge term, but sometimes we need to understand, because I also want to understand what it deals with.
Okay, thank you very much for that question, and I'm very passionate about pharmacovigilance. And it's just a science. Actually, there are two words in one: pharmaco and vigilance.
Yes.
I know you know about vigilance,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Even though this
yes.
Vigilance just being alert, keeping watch. Yeah. And pharmaco is a Greek name for drug.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are keeping watch and being alert about the drugs. So it's a science that involves collecting information, assessing, monitoring, and reporting and managing adverse effects due to medication. As we've said, the medicines are double-edged swords.
Yes.
Yeah. they do good, but they can also
Be
do harm.
poisonous, yes.
Yeah, sometimes they say that when you're taking a drug, you need to be so healthy that you can withstand the effects of that drug. I don't know if you've seen patients who take drugs and they get worse.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, it happens because of the effects of the drug. And sometimes the effects of the drugs are so worse that they need treatment themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so pharmacovigilance involves monitoring adverse effects of drugs, reporting the same, managing, and putting in place to prevent the recurrence. Because there are patients who can react to a drug, and it means going forward they cannot be given that kind of drug anymore. A case in point is the sulfur-containing medication. Yeah, there are clients who cannot take sulfur-containing medication because if they do, they have a skin reaction that we call Steven Johnson syndrome, and it looks like the skin is burnt. They're actually treated in a burns unit in the hospital. Yeah, so so pharmacovigilance involves monitoring that, and such kinds of patients, you actually give them an alert card to show that this patient should never be given a sulfur-containing medication going forward. Clearly, if a patient class, you can move to the next class as an alternative. So that is there available.
So there are some alternatives. And maybe, Doctor, what exactly happens to antibiotics? I remember sometimes when someone is under medication with antibiotics, it's not that simple. Sometimes maybe you have stomach upsets, you don't know what exactly happens with antibiotics. I think they are kind of strong, or what?
Okay, it's not only antibiotics. Yeah, even anti-cancer drugs, they cause a whole lot of issues. The hair falls off, what we call alopecia. So drugs, as much as they're aiming to treat something, they're also affecting other cells in the body.
Okay.
Yeah, so antibiotics, as you asked, you are taking them to manage a bacterial infection. Yeah, but they have also effects on other cells in the body, which now causes you to feel those side effects that
Yes.
you're getting, nausea, vomiting, yeah, sometimes diarrhea, yeah. So it happens because these are foreign chemical you are introducing to your body, and the body also has to react to it, yeah, and it's affecting other cells and interacting with other chemicals within the body and causing those reactions.
Yes.
However, the benefits of that antibiotic must outweigh the risks.
The risk.
Yeah,
yes.
so the risk should be so minimal that you still have to take the antibiotic to manage your infection. But if the risks are more than the benefit, then you definitely have to withdraw the antibiotic. Yeah, for example, the case I've said, Steven-Johnson syndrome, which can progress to what we call toxic epidermal necrolysis, where the skin is just peeling off, even the internal membrane.
Internal,
Yeah, you cannot continue giving that antibiotic because you want to treat the infection. The patient will die
Yes.
from the skin reaction. Yeah, so you have to assess that the benefits are actually outweighing the risk for you to continue with the treatment. And that cannot be done at the chemist.
Wow, it has to be
Yeah,
done in the
so-
hospital.
Yes,
Yes.
it has to be in the hospital.
Wow.
That's why you need to know whether the ailment you have qualifies to get managed at the chemist via over-the-counter medicine, or you need to go to hospital. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. And maybe now we get to our comment section, and on my Twitter handle I can see @Grace, good morning, morning informant. Wow, wow. And she has put emojis all through. And she's saying this should be an initiative that should be plummeted across the country and across the globe, because over-the-counter medication danger. Yes, sometimes it has benefits, but most of the people misuse, especially painkillers. Yes.
And on my side, I have good morning, morning informant learning. My name is Zipporah from Githurai, ZP, that is what she has written. And the problem with the Kenyans is that the majority of them are imagining what is ailing them and deciding the type of medicine they buy from pharmacies and shops.
And I have on my side Meroka, good morning, Christine and Ngonjo. Daktari is quite informing this morning. I would like to follow her, and I'd like to follow her on social media and maybe get to learn about vigilance, because we need that in our current situation in Kenya, with the chemists opened like vibandas in our area. Yes.
Maybe after, as
Yes.
we're winding up, we'll
Of
let
course.
the doctor give us social media handles
yes.
as well as contact as well.
Of course.
And I have another one who is saying, good morning. Whenever Kenyans feels any form of pain, they would rush for a painkiller, and they later rush to the hospital after they have not treated themselves. So that means they just do the first trial by themselves. If it doesn't work, that's when they need the doctor.
And I have another one here, quite funny, and it is Eugene Likoto. Good morning. I have turned to herbal medicine, and that is what I use to treat my ailments, and I am as strong as ever. And that is just one of them this morning. Yes.
He must be lucky.
Yes.
And that reminds me of one of my aunts, and I hope she won't take offense in this. Whenever you're at a function and you feel unwell, you go and ask her, Aunt, do you have this? Do you have this? She carries a very big load of maybe I don't know if they call PC what, something, I don't know. There is a lot of painkillers. If you want a Panadol extra, she has
PCM, I remember that.
something.
I
She
don't
has
know.
all sorts of medicines in her bag. And I have a comment here that is saying, good morning, morning informant. The reason run for to the chemist is the high cost of seeking medication in both private and public hospitals.
And now, Daktari, just as we sample through and winding up our show, because we are out of time, maybe you tell us what would be your advice to someone who has a habit of seeking over-the-counter medication?
Okay, thank you. I will advise people who want to keep seeking over-the-counter medicine to be aware that there are risks. That was my first statement, actually.
Yes.
That these are medicines and they're not without risks. Let's take the most common analgesic or painkiller that we use, paracetamol.
Yes.
It looks so innocent, but it can actually cause liver toxicity. Yeah, if taken in high doses or too frequently than necessary. Yeah, so there's no medicine that is that innocent that you can just keep buying and taking on your own without being monitored by a health professional.
Yes.
Yeah, so we should desist from constant over the counter medication,
Yes.
especially when we are not sure what we are suffering from. Yeah, as I said, you get a headache, you go to the counter and buy medicine. But if it keeps recurring, then it means there's something underlying that needs to be checked and managed. Yeah, so that you can address that headache. So if your symptoms are worse, don't say because it's cheaper to go to the counter. Hospitals are expensive.
Yes.
In the long run, it will be more expensive because you'll spend money at the chemist, but you'll still have to go to hospital when it's too late and you need more expensive management in the hospital. So when our symptoms are not clear to us, we don't know what you're suffering from, and the symptoms are worse, we shouldn't go to the over-the-counter medicine. We should not self-medicate. Let us seek professional care. And those who have chronic conditions and are taking medication for them, also avoid buying over-the-counter medicine, because some of these drugs that you're buying over-the-counter will interact with the drugs you're already taking, or will also interact with the disease that you are being managed for, and you don't know, and maybe you do not disclose to the person selling to you over-the-counter medicine, so they also don't know. Yeah, and you end up having reactions or your condition worsening because of the interaction between the drugs you are on and the ones you're buying, or interaction between the drugs and the disease you're having. So let us be cautious even as we self-medicate. Let us know the risks are there and avoid it as much as possible. Thank you.
Wow. And maybe for someone, Dr. who wants to get in touch with you and maybe talk to you, what would be your contact and please give us your contact and your social media handles as well.
Okay. You can follow me mostly on LinkedIn or Twitter. Those are the official platforms I use for communicating professional matters.
Yes.
So on Twitter, you'll just find me as Clarice. Yeah, and on LinkedIn, you'll find me as Dr. Clarice Ambale. Yeah, and you can just follow me on either LinkedIn or Twitter. The others are social, so not really professional.
Yes,
yeah.
You just want the professional ones. Yes.
Yes.
That is LinkedIn and Twitter.
Twitter, yes.
Twitter at Clarice and
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn at
Dr.
Clarice Ambale. Yes, it's good for clarification as well as maybe some of the viewers, as they had requested, they would like maybe to get more from you, because sometimes they just find it very difficult to ask some of the questions on air.
On air,
yes.
They get in touch with you privately.
Yes.
And I know they will be of great help to them, because so far we've learned as well here.
Of course we have. Yes. And on that note, we would like to thank Dr. Clarice so much for coming to our studios and gracing us with her presence. And of course, we have gotten to learn. And I'm also going to get, Dr. What did you call it? A card. Yes, I'm going to get one now that I have learned. I didn't know that I needed one, but I'm now going to get one to ensure my safety. And maybe we also thank our director and our sponsors, and that is Aqua World Kenya, Aqua World Mineral Supplier Water, and they have the best water. If you need to get your bottle of water, please go to their website, that is aquaworldke.com, and order your water, your location, and it will be delivered to your doorstep. Yes.
And maybe to you as well, thank you very much for keeping it the Morning Informant right here on SHANI TV. That is today being hashtag Health Thursday. It's my hope that you've learned as well. And thank you very much as well for gracing our social media handles on our platform number as well, by writing your comments and asking your questions. Such a privilege to have you there. My name is Gonjo Maina.
And my name is Christine Mutindi. Have a fruitful day.
Live in a beach life city, enjoying coastal lifestyle with a cool breeze and ocean tides as you watch the sunset. In Malindi, touching the Kilifi Watamu bypass, sitting just 100 meters off the white sandy beach, in a gated and controlled development next to Malaika Beach Hotel. Finca Properties Limited offers you a 50 by 100 plot for only 1.5 million shillings. Electricity and water is available on site. This property is ideal for residential homes, cottages, holiday homes and hotels. For inquiries, bookings and reservations, SMS the word plot to 40309 or call us on 0721 737 300 or visit our website at www.finca.co.ke. Come to our offices in Kitengela Town, Pena Towers, Suite B6. Title deeds are ready. Finca Properties Limited, prime and affordable.
Grace Life Church invites you to our Sunday services. Join us for fellowship, prayers, uplifting praise and worship, and life-transforming sermons. The order of our services is intercession from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., ambassador service from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and celebrations